Hey, Nickie Brown here. No matter where you are and what part of the world you're in, I hope that you are having a good day. So, I did some reading and I wanted to share it with you. Um, As a Woman Thinketh by Dorothy Hurst, which was based on the book As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, right? So, the books are very similar. And I just wanted to kind of go over a few things. Some of the things I know we've heard before, but some of the things I think may be a little enlightening. So now I'm reading from As a Man Thinketh. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the Lord of his own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation and contains within himself that transforming and regenerative agency by which he may make himself what he wills. Right? Our thoughts become things. This is the law of attraction. Although I hear people say they don't believe in it, that doesn't mean it's not relevant. That doesn't mean it isn't true. Man is always the master, even in his weakest and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation, he is the foolish master who misgoverns his households. When he begins to reflect upon his condition and to search diligently for the law upon which his being is established, he then becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. Such is the conscious master, and man can only thus become by discovering within himself the laws of thought, which discovery is totally a matter of application, self analysis, and experience. Only by much searching and mining are gold and diamonds obtained, and man can find every truth connected with his being if he will dig deep into the mind of his soul, and that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny. He may unerringly prove if he will watch, control, and alter his thoughts, tracing their effects upon himself, upon others, and upon his life and circumstances, linking cause and effect by patient practice and investigation, and utilizing his every experience, even to the most trivial, everyday occurrence, as a means of obtaining that knowledge of himself, which is understanding, wisdom, and power. In this direction, as in no other, is the law absolute that he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. For only by patience, practice, and ceaseless importunity can a man enter the door of the temple of knowledge. That's deep. So essentially it's saying that our thoughts become things, and whatever you're thinking in your mind is going to show up in your life. So then it goes on, and pretty much the the woman's book is similar. It's just that instead of using man, it uses the word woman. It gives three examples. Here is a man who is wretchedly poor. He is extremely anxious that his surroundings and home comforts should be improved, yet all the time he shirks his work and considers he is justified in trying to deceive his employer on the ground of the insufficiency of his wages. Such a man does not understand the simplest rudiments of those principles which are the basis of true prosperity, and is not only totally unfitted to rise out of his wretchedness, but is actually attracting to himself a still deeper wretchedness by dwelling in and acting out indolent, deceptive, and unmanly thoughts. So basically, blaming someone else for your station in life instead of being accountable and responsible for the way that your life is because of your ways, thoughts, and actions is considered to be unmanly, right? And again, same thing in the book As a Woman Thinketh, it basically says the same thing, except for it uses woman. Here's another example. Here is a rich man who was the victim of painful and persistent disease as the result of gluttony. He is willing to give large sums of money to get rid of it, but he will not sacrifice his gluttonous desires. He wants to gratify his taste for rich and unnatural viands and have his health as well. Such a man is totally unfit to have health because he has not yet learned the first principles of a healthy life. So we must have healthy thoughts, healthy ways, healthy actions. And gluttony is not considered a healthy lifestyle, right? It's not considered a healthy mindset. It's not considered a healthy thought process. Okay? And one more example. Here is an employer of labor who adopts crooked measures to avoid paying the regulation wage, and in the hope of making larger profits reduces the wages of his work people. Such a man is altogether unfitted for prosperity, and when he finds himself bankrupt, both as regards to reputation and riches, he blames circumstances and not knowing that he is the sole author of his condition. It goes on to say, I have introduced these three cases merely as illustrative of the truth that man is the causer, though nearly always unconsciously, of his circumstances, and that whilst aiming at a good end, he is continually frustrating its accomplishment by encouraging thoughts and desires which cannot possibly harmonize with that end. Such cases could be multiplied and varied almost indefinitely, but this is not necessary, as the reader can, if he so resolves, trace the action of the laws of thought in his own mind and life, and until this is done, merely external facts cannot serve as a ground of reasoning. Circumstances, however, are so complicated. Thought is so deeply rooted, and the conditions of happiness vary so vastly with individuals that a man's entire soul condition, although it may be known to himself, cannot be judged by another from the external aspect of his life alone. A man may be honest in certain directions, yet suffer privations. A man may be dishonest in certain directions, yet acquire wealth. But the conclusion usually formed that the one man fails because of his particular honesty, and that the other prospers because of his particular dishonesty, is the result of a superficial judgment, which assumes that the dishonest man is almost totally corrupt, and that the honest man almost entirely virtuous. In the light of a deeper knowledge and wider experience, such judgment is found to be erroneous. So people like to judge, right? And they'll say, oh, well, this person isn't doing well in life because they're not a good person. They're being fake, right? when they may not be the truth. But if something happens, they may, for example, turn the tables up in the church like Jesus did, right? Or in the marketplace, because he said that usury is not righteous, right? So you may have somebody who will snap because they think things are not being done the right way, yet at the same time, that doesn't make them a not so good person. They may be a good person, but they just don't like injustice. They don't like unfair treatment, right? But the dishonest and corrupt person, sometimes you're allowed to go up as far as you want to go. And then once you come down, you just come crashing down and everything gets taken away from you because you didn't get it in an honest way. And that happens to a lot of people too, right? But the dishonest person may have thoughts um, that are helping them get to a certain place, um, because your mind, becomes the things in your life. So because they may have, ambitious thoughts, right? It could be a narcissist though, who's just um, they have ambitious thoughts, but they're unrighteous. But it still helps them to get to where they want to be in life. And the person who does not have those same confidence and ambitious thoughts, they'll snub their nose and look down at them in a form of judgment. But that's not necessarily the case. Um, and if you have a different explanation, then let me know. Then let me continue to read. I'm almost done. Okay? So let me reread some of what I just read. Um, we assume that the dishonest man is almost totally corrupt and the honest man almost entirely virtuous. In the light of a deeper knowledge and wider experience, such judgment is found to be erroneous. The dishonest man may have some admirable virtues which the other does not possess, and the honest man obnoxious vices which are absent in the other. The honest man reaps the good results of his honest thoughts and actions. He also brings upon himself the sufferings which his vices produce. The dishonest man likewise garners his own suffering and happiness. So it depends on the person and what they've experienced, right? I'll read this. Good thoughts and actions can never produce bad results. Bad thoughts and actions can never produce good results. This is but saying that nothing can come from corn but corn, nothing from nettles but nettles. Men understand this law in the natural world and work with it, but few understand it in the mental and moral world, though its operation there is just as simple and undeviating, and they therefore do not cooperate with it. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thoughts in some direction. It is an indication that the individual is out of harmony with himself, with the law of his being. The sole and supreme use of suffering is to purify, to burn out all that is useless and impure. Suffering ceases from him, for him who is pure. There can be no object in burning gold after the dross has been removed, and a perfectly pure and enlightened being cannot suffer. The circumstances which a man encounters with suffering are the result of his own mental inharmony. The circumstances which a man encounters with blessedness are the result of his own mental harmony. Blessedness, not material possessions, is the measure of right thought. Wretchedness, not lack of material possessions, is the measure of wrong thought. A man may be cursed and rich, he may be blessed and poor. Blessedness and riches are only joined together when the riches are rightly and wisely used, and the poor man only descends into wretchedness when he regards his lot as a burden unjustly imposed. So basically, everything happens for a reason, and just because you have a certain station in life does not mean you were meant to. It's meant as a form of suffering, right? Look at Job. everything was taken away from him, but he still did the right things, and he got even more back in return, right? But most people don't think of that, right? When they're going through something, they really let it get them down and out. We're not supposed to worry, we're not supposed to complain, but people do it anyway. Um, and they want to have pity parties, and they want people to still feel sorry for them. Um, and they want to keep talking about it instead of just praying about it and letting it go and letting whatever is supposed to happen, right? Yes, it may be sad. Yes, it may make you angry, but we're not supposed to dwell in those feelings. We're supposed to rise above them and see make the best of the situation, basically. Um, I've been doing that for years, and people get mad. Oh, that means you don't care. Oh, that means you're just naive. Oh, that means you're just stupid. Oh, that means you just. No, it doesn't mean just because I don't want to worry does not mean any of those things. I've always had that philosophy is if there isn't anything that I can do about it, um, then I'm not going to worry about it. Has that always worked? No, because as I've gotten older, because other people don't think that way, it kind of starts to shift your mindset a little bit. And their thoughts get embedded on you because they're projecting them onto you, and they try to make you feel guilty or ashamed for not being worried or not crying or not, responding the same way that they would, which is from basically a place of fear, right? Some people don't know how to go on and make the best of their life and have joy anyway, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what you don't have. Um, just being appreciative, thankful, and grateful for what you do have right now, and that makes all the difference in the world. So, I could read from "As a Woman Thinketh," and I may do so in a separate video, but I wanted to um, just kind of go over some of those points that really stood out to me, and I hope that they help you. As always, that's the purpose of me making these videos, to help someone who may be feeling like they're in a low place or a sunken place, and they need to elevate their mindset, because again, our thoughts become things even if we don't believe that. You don't have to believe it. Anytime you talk about certain things, people say, oh, I don't believe in that. That's fine. You don't have to. That's your business. That doesn't mean it make it any less true, though. Not believing in it doesn't make it any less true. It doesn't make it any less relevant in your life. Doesn't mean that it doesn't affect your life. It just means that you're not paying attention to it, and you think that things are just happening when they're not. All right? As always, mwah, love y'all.